Okay, so picture this. You're at a concert, right? There's this incredible symphony playing, but in the background, you start to hear this low hum, a static that just keeps getting louder. Well, according to S&P Global, that's pretty much the global economy heading into 2026. It's a world where these really powerful positive forces are clashing with some pretty serious and growing risks. And this idea, music playing, noise rising, that's the central theme we're going to unpack here. On one side, you've got the clear, beautiful music of economic growth. But on the other, you've got this disruptive noise of uncertainty that's really starting to build. So the big question is, which one's going to win? The music or the noise? Let's dive in.
The report itself just nails it with this quote. For businesses, for investors, really for all of us, the hardest part is figuring out what's a real signal and what's just static. So let's try to break it down. We're going to look at both the music and the noise, starting with the good stuff.
All right, first up, the music. You know, after all the craziness of the past few years, the global economy is actually showing some remarkable strength. And while there are a few things going on, there is one conductor who's really leading this orchestra with some serious force.
So here's the number that really sets the tone. S&P Global is forecasting a stable 3.2% growth for the global economy in 2026. So we're not talking about a recession or some big collapse here. This is a story of steady, solid expansion. But the real question is, where is all this unexpected strength coming from?
Well, the answer, in a huge way, is AI. The artificial intelligence revolution isn't just a tech story anymore. No way. It has become this incredibly powerful engine for the entire macroeconomy, driving just a massive amount of investment and activity.
I mean, just take a look at the sheer scale of this. We're talking about the capital spending from just the top 5 tech giants. It is projected to hit almost 2/3 of $1 trillion in 2026 alone. That is an absolute tsunami of cash pouring into data centers, chips, and all the infrastructure that powers AI.
And all that spending? It has a very real impact. It's not just happening in a bubble. S&P Global estimates it's tacking on a full 0.5 percentage point to U.S. GDP growth. That is a huge boost, and it really makes AI a primary driver of that economic music we're hearing.
But okay, now we have to flip the coin and talk about the other side of this story. For all that amazing momentum from AI, there's this growing wall of noise, a whole bunch of risks that are getting a lot harder to ignore.
And here are the big ones that S&P Global is watching. You've got high-risk stuff like geopolitics and trade tensions. Those create all sorts of unpredictable chaos. Then there's the elevated risk that the very tech boom that's driving the music could lead to a market correction, or that things could just get shaky at home for some of the world's key economies.
And a huge source of this noise, it's the consumer. In the world's 2 biggest economies, households are really feeling the pressure. In the US, it's all about rising debt and a job market that's starting to cool off. And over in China, this stubborn property crisis is just weighing everything down, from confidence to spending. And to really put a point on the US consumer story, check out this number. That's the record high level of credit card debt. And what's more, delinquency rates, people falling behind on payments, are ticking up, getting close to levels we haven't seen since the global financial crisis. That is a very clear warning sign that people are stretched thin.
And the last piece of noise we'll touch on is trade. The report points out that recent tariffs have pushed the effective U.S. rate to its highest level in almost 100 years. Think about that. That kind of thing just stifles investment, messes up supply chains, and adds this whole other layer of deep uncertainty to everything.
So we've got the powerful music of an AI boom and the really loud noise of global risk. How in the world do we make sense of that? Well, the key is to understand that it's not one or the other. We're living in an economy that is somehow booming and struggling at the very same time.
The term for this is a K-shaped environment. And it's a perfect visual, right? Think of the letter K. One arm goes up while the other goes down. And that perfectly describes what's happening. The music of the AI boom is happening right alongside the noise from a weak consumer. Fortunes are splitting apart.
This chart right here shows you that K-shape in action. I mean, you can see it clear as day. On the winning side, you've got high-tech with a strongly positive outlook. Metals are doing pretty well too. Both are being fueled by AI and the energy transition. But then you look at the other arm of the K, sectors like chemicals, automotive, and consumer products, they're facing a really tough negative outlook, getting hit hard by those trade issues and weaker demand.
So the main takeaway here is pretty simple. Divergence is the name of the game. For anyone in business or investing, this means a one-size-fits-all strategy just isn't going to work. Success in 2026 is going to depend entirely on being on the right side of that K, being in the right industry, the right place, serving the right customer. It's this really complex picture of prosperity and pain all happening at once.
So as we're all trying to navigate this K-shaped world, the question isn't really whether the music of innovation is playing. We know it is. It's loud and clear. The real question is whether it's loud enough to drown out all that rising noise from the risks. And the answer to that is what's going to define 2026.